Hello, I am Yoeri Vleer, better known as Luos, and in this part of the VFX Overhaul videos I'm going to add all sorts of smoke. Apologies if you hear me coughing or snorting, I am quite under the weather. So, I want to add some smoke and I could do a whole video about making smoke, but I don't feel like doing that. So I'm gonna do a cheap trick and I'm gonna take one of Epic's own particles, the smoke particles. This is the lit steam. I think it's in almost all of the free content that Epic has from the learning tab. I'm actually just gonna migrate that to this folder. So asset actions, migrate. That should all be fine. Okay. And then I need to find the right project. Let me try and find the right one. That's not the right folder. Art and design. And then Unreal Engine 4. There we go. And it should be here somewhere. I think it was tutorials. There we go. And then select the content folder. And that should be fine. Its migration is completed successfully. Thank God. Okay. Now we have those things over here. I'm gonna remove the collections and favorite folder real quick. And there are quite a few things in here that are now messed up and I don't really like that. So I'm actually gonna put everything in the Selene thing. I'm gonna make a new folder for now and call it smoke. I'll move everything to proper folder later. I think it's also in the project one. Let me double check. No, it was from a tutorial. Particle systems, materials, and I think that's about it. So I'm just gonna move those to the smoke folder. Move here. Might take a few seconds. Or a few seconds more. Fix up the redirectors just in case. And I'm gonna check if everything's in there. So that's the smoke material. That's the steam material emitter. And these are the flipbooks and noises, which should be fine. Let me double check the noise. It's an alpha, that's fine. And let's check the flipbook as well. It's a default and it's also in the effects folder, which is fine and nice. It doesn't really need the sRGB, but it's actually using the RGB channel for some additional color things, I think. So let's just keep it on in this case. Now first I want to edit the material a little bit, in case that's really needed. There's some nice noise in here. Here's the particle sub UV, which can actually use the wrap shared, which is a little bit better, and we can do the same for this one. Most of these things are fine. Now, in this case, the smoke actually grabs some lighting information. So it should actually have a normal map, which it doesn't. That's kind of too bad. Now we can try to use the spherical normal maps option in here, but generally it doesn't really super work. We can try it and disable it if needed. We need to enable and disable some options. So we don't need the apply fogging. That's already going to save us a few instructions. And generally we don't need any of the roughness, so we can actually set it to fully rough. And I always disable the light map directionality because I like to do that. Let's see, I think that's about everything we need to change at the moment. So we could add some additional nice noise to the depth fade. So normally the fade distance is about between whatever values you want. But I kind of want to have a little bit more, how do I explain this properly? I can do it in an example real quick, I think. Material, let's make it test material, depth fade. And let's say it's just a black material and a depth fade of about 100, and plug that into the opacity. We make it translucent, and default is fine. Let's give it an opacity value of 1. And this should work. There, and as you can already see, the bottom is slowly fading out. But it's always this weird straight edge on flat surfaces. So we kind of want to change that. And we can use a noise texture for that. I'm going to grab a random one. I'm going to make it panning a bit. So just a random value for now, so you can get an idea. And lerp that between a value of, let's say, 50 to 150. And grab the red channel and plug that into the fade distance. If we wait a few seconds, and as you can see now, the depth fade has some nice noise to it. And that looks much more natural than just a straight edge. Mind you, it can cost you a few additional instructions, and depending on the texture, use an additional texture call, but that should be about it. So I'm going to save this, why not? And do the same for this thing. And there's already a texture sample going on here that we might be able to use. So we're just going to copy it. We're going to add a panner to it, just like before. And give it a little bit of a horizontal value and an even lower vertical value. Lerp it again between a value of like 75 in this case and 150. Plug it into the lerp, go into the fade distance, and that should be it. Now we don't really need the tangent space normals, I think. We can try and disable that. Should save a few instructions. And see what that looks like in the emitter. Saving is a bit slow today. Maybe it's because I have had many other projects open today. Particle systems. There we go. And this is because of that spherical map. It can look nice, but sometimes it's just not really what you want. And as you can see that there are slight edges here. So we might want to disable the spherical normal maps in this case and save it again. Now we could maybe try and add a normal map to it, but I don't feel like doing that. For now at least. And this is still a rather odd effect. That's probably because the lighting is always a bit off. I kind of want to see what it looks like in the viewport. And as you can see in the viewport, it looks way better. There's a little bit of a noise because of the way that depth works, and we might actually be able to tweak that by grabbing the same texture coordinate node and try and plug it in here. That should look a little bit better already. Saving again, which sadly takes up so much time. And as you can see that the noise at the bottom is now gone a little bit, and there's still some motion going. Now to give you an idea on how this would look without that additional fade setup, I'm going to save that material without the depth fade setup. And you can see at the bottom that it looks slightly off. It's just a little bit in this case. We can actually lower particle system and you can see that it's much more of a straight edge, just a little bit. I need to stop doing things on other monitors, sorry about that. 75 and 100. Save it again. And it's just a little bit, but it looks, in my humble opinion, better. Sometimes it's not worth it, depending on your effect, but I think it's nice. And since I'm goofing off, and this isn't really super thing, it's not nothing that's going to be in a final game, that's just fine. Sometimes you do need to take care of your performance, of course. So, okay, now that we have the smoke, we need quite a few different things. And I should probably write them down. We need something on the moment it hits. We need some expanding smoke on the edges of that effect. Some smoke above the fire. And we could do some few other things, but let's just go for the impact effect first. So I'm gonna actually move this particle system to here, move here, and duplicate it. I'm actually gonna rename it to our impact smoke 01. And change how this thing works. Now, I'm not really fond of the colors and whatever, so let's see if you can temporarily increase the color on it, and I guess that's not a thing. I'm actually gonna cheat for now and do it like this so I can actually see the smoke better. Now we have nice white smoke. And the bottom is slightly better visible now, but okay. So we need something that's a bit expanding, and that shouldn't be too hard. So let's first change a few things. We need it to loop only once. We're not going to use the spawn rate. And we need a burst. I'm not sure how many yet, so I'm just going to go with a low value of 20 and 10. And initial size should be fine, but the lifetime must be much lower. For now, let's do 1 second. It's real time, and the speed is 100. Where are you? No, really, where are you? Initial size is fine, initial velocity required. Wait a second, there's a warm-up time. Ah, there we go. Disable the warm-up time. And enable emitter loop. There we go. Now it's a bit big. It's way too big probably. So let's change the initial size to something that's more manageable. I'm guessing about 200 and 150 for now. Now we need to expand it in a ring. So we can use a location cylinder for that. We don't need the z-axis information, and we definitely want it to be on surface only and enable velocity, and that should be quite a high value. I'm guessing 10 about, and 12 there, and that's to make it going. But we also want to slow down that smoke, of course, so we're gonna go with acceleration drag, and as you can see it's already slowing down a bit. I tend to do a value between 1 and 2 for some variation. Sometimes you don't want that, sometimes you want a higher value. Maybe something needs to expand real quick and then slow down quite a bit. So play around with these values. Initial rotation is fine. I also want to add an initial rotation rate. And I also want this to be a very low value, like 0.1 to minus 0.1. Just so that there's a bit more variation in the cloud movement. And I kind of want to see first how big that this effect is compared to this character. So I need to move about to the right location. There we go. And you can use the front slash to test it out. Now I don't want to use too many smoke things because it's quite expensive. We can actually show you that in the shader complexity. You can see just a few overlaps and it's already going to white. So we need to make sure that it's not too heavy. And we can actually counter this by perhaps making this thing unlit. That would help. But for now, let's just go with this and tweak accordingly. Now, since he's hitting with this direction, we might actually get away with just making that smoke moving forward. So we might be able to disable the y-axis on the initial location of the cylinder. That way it only moves to one direction. There, I forgot that once you press the spacebar, that it keeps enabling and disabling that checkbox. So this looks somewhat fine. And you can actually see it in here as well. It's a bit offset because the character is slightly rotated. We can tweak it a little bit for now, that's fine. There. And again, this is quite expensive, so I want to make sure that I don't have too much smoke going on at the same time. And I kind of want to change the size by life a little bit as well. So size by life. Let's start out small to the normal size. And then stay the normal size quite a bit. And then maybe go a little bit bigger or smaller. Expand all. And about 0.1 second in maybe. This is just a guess for now. It should go to the normal size. And it should stay about there to almost the end of the lifetime, and at the end either shrink, which doesn't look that good, or maybe slightly bigger because it's fading out anyways. Oh, forgot to one here. You can see it's moving too fast and all very synchronic. I don't really like that. So we're gonna smooth that out in the curve editor. And press the second one so that there's never a weird curve going upwards. You might want to select all of them. And I actually don't like the way it grows, so maybe like slightly smaller value will work. Oh. Alright, that looks better. Now we also want to move it downwards a little bit, and the constant acceleration can help with that. It doesn't need to be a very high value, but like minus 200 might work, so that they actually slowly fade down. Apologies. So that looks a little bit better. Might want to tweak it a little bit maybe, but for now it's fine. I'm going to tweak the initial velocities a little bit so that there is less upwards movement. So maybe 10 maximum and minus 10 minimum. That helps already, and we can change the lifetime to something that's more random. So maybe 1.2 to 0.8. So nothing lasts the same length, and that already looks somewhat better. Now in this case we might not want white smoke, and obviously I tweaked the material to use the emissive color. And I'm not sure how much we really need in this case that lighting setup. But let's just keep it like this for now, and we might want to change the color of life. I'm gonna do a vector constant curve and grab some values. Initially it's coming from something that's very bright and hot, so we might want to change that color a little bit to that value. I need to make sure that there's a particle color going on. It is. There we go. And obviously it's overridden by the emissive color, so let's plug this in like that for now. And the final value should probably be a very grayish. Well, let's Pick orange first and go all the way down. And pick a somewhat bright grayish color. There. Now we want this to be changing color much faster, so maybe around there somewhere. See what it looks like in here. Now let's add this to the animation, because that will be much better to look at. So if I select this asset, I can actually edit it by pressing Ctrl and E. It opens on a different window, of course, and we can go to, actually we need the animation. So just double click on here. There we go. And let's just grab a new one for now. And add notify, play particle effect. And we want to select that impact smoke. There we go. Now we need to time it and change the location. For some reason it's not really showing anything. Okay, we need to move it to the y-axis, maybe about 80 units. It's probably about at the same location actually as the impact spark, which is actually 230 units away. So let's try that, give or take. And that smoke already adding some nice volume to it. Let's look at it from another angle. And the reason why I'm not really happy with using smoke that much is because if you look at the optimization view modes, oh, wrong one. The shader complexity, you can see that it easily becomes quite wide. And generally this thing is a bit outdated, so complexity count of 2000 is not that much of a problem sometimes. But the less white you have, the better, of course. Okay, back to the lit mode and look at it one more time. Let's try about here and there. That's actually not me snorting, that's my cat. In case the microphone picked it up. Okay, sorry for the long looking, I'm thinking about what else I can add. So before we finish this effect, this specific one actually, we're gonna go and open the material and find that particle sub UV, select it, go back to the particle impact smoke, go to the required node, and apply the texture to the cutout texture. We probably need the alpha, and hopefully we can actually see it in here by going to wireframe. And as you can see, they are now no longer squares, and that can be quite helpful. Now sometimes you need to tweak the alpha threshold a bit, and it's occasionally a guess on what we need. Now back to the view modes lit. This should help a little bit with the overdraw. You can again actually look at it in this and lit. And then shader complexity. It's spazzing out a little bit, but as you can see, there's a little bit less things that can be overdrawn. Not doing the best of things, I'm guessing, but it's about the best we can get probably. We can try 4 vertices actually, and then go back to the view modes wireframe. But as you can see, it's not doing that much in that case. So I'm guessing this is the best we can get for now. Back to lit. Okay. And I gotta say, even though it's a lit texture at the moment, it looks fine without all the additional lighting. So I'm actually going to optimize this a little bit by setting it to unlit. And that saves quite a few instructions as well. And I don't think we need any additional things enabled, so let's save this. And one more time, actually look in the view mode. Position view mode, shader complexity. And that already looks much better, that smoke. I'm going to go back to lit and actually show that same thing in here. So I need to grab the particle system real quick. And now if we go to that same view mode again, as you can see it's way less red than it initially was. So that's nice. Okay, I'm gonna delete that again, and now we need additional smokes. Now since I have this one as a base now, I want to use that everywhere, at least some of the settings. Most of the settings are fine, I need to tweak obviously a few of them, but it should work. And additionally we can actually change the UV flipping mode in this case and change the U only randomly, and that should flip some of the effects sometimes. That way there's a little bit more random variation. You won't notice it that well in this case, but it helps with some additional randomness. Okay, I think that should be about it for this one. And let's grab that impact effect, the fireball, oh no, the ground crack. Because we want to add some smoke to this one as well. I kind of want to have some additional smoke on this side here. And we might be able to use one of the things that actually travels already. For instance, we can use the fire travel. It's not timed that well, but if we are actually going to use this one for smoke, I can time it and then eventually reapply it to the fire travel one. So another thing I sometimes like to do is take these things a little bit apart, like to crack something separately and make sure that there are different categories, and I'm doing that by making a new emitter and basically just removing all the modules that I don't need, disable the spawn, and then just disable the material, and then like this I can have a small edge going on and then apply new materials in here. So I'm going to duplicate the fire emitter, move it all the way to the right with the arrow keys, call it side smoke for now. And actually grab the smoke material, which is this one. I'm going to export it totally. Grab it in the content browser, impact smoke. Oh, wrong way around, sorry. Select the ground crack, then go to the part impact smoke, right mouse click on it, emitter, export emitter. And now it should be available here as well. And that's because I want to override the required node, which is not possible in 4.12 because it's a total mess. Yeah, it did. Oh my god. Why didn't they fix this? Okay, let's try something else. We still have the smoke going on in here now. And we need the location to change constantly. So let's see if we can actually drag the initial location to the right one. There we go. And then highlight that one. And in this case we need to actually spawn a few, like 5. And you can already see it there going. We might have to disable the cylinder for now and see what's going on. This location should be about fine, though it's going a little bit far. And since we know that 0.6 is about, what was a good example for that? The cracks, I think. Where are you? Cylinder. Oh, where is that option? It should be the cracks because it's going all the way there. Initial location should. Oh, there we are. Sorry about that. 2200 at 1. Oh well. Back to this one. And grab the cylinder, make that value much lower. Not the O, let's say about 12. And then change the vector constant to a vector constant curve. Expand all. And at the end of it, it should be around 2200, I guess. Which is way too far. It should be about half. So back to the cylinder. Let's try 1200. And we should kill the initial location probably. I need to see the smoke. And that's going to be hard, so I'm actually going to use the initial location, another one, and offset it on the x-axis. So let's try minus 200. That we have some comparison next to each other. And it takes a while to get here. It's about right, but it feels a bit slower. I can actually increase the spawn rate quite a bit for now. And that looks somewhat fine. Now, I wonder what the best way to do this is, because I want some smoke on the left side and smoke on the right side, but it's kind of pointless to have all that smoke inside of the flames and the spikes, because you won't see it anyway. So I wonder if you can actually, let's say, only enable the positive and negative X and have like a gap in the center. It looks like you can, so let's try and change this value to about 50. That's actually quite interesting. That's quite cool. I've never used a cylinder to only apply some effect to the side. So let's move that, disable that initial location here, and look at it from the side. It's slightly too slow in my humble opinion. And obviously at the end you can see that that's only being emitted at the side, so we need to do something for that as well. So let me think real quick. The initial velocity should be fine, color of light is fine, initial rotation fine. We might be able to lower the cylinder size just a little bit. What else can we change? The start location should be about fine. Let's try 1000. Okay, and we maybe want to add that like 0.9, 0.7. Need to look at it from a few different angles. Let's try the top one. We need to change the background color real quick. There we go. Could be a little bit faster still. 0.6. Oh, 5. Since I know this, I can actually change the required lifetime to about, let's say, 0.6. 0.55 maybe. Yeah. It does look really cool on only the black background. And we can kill the spawn rate here, because we don't need it anymore. And it's going to be hard to distribute the right amount of smoke on each side, so we might be using seeds. Let's try spawn rate. We might actually want a float uniform between 5 and 8. Now let's keep that rate scale about the same. I'm actually not sure. Maybe we actually want to increase the scale here so that there's more smoke on each side. And actually lower this value to about 4 or 3. 3 still seems to about fine. And there are not that many actually emitted, so that should be good. A few more shader complexity. You can see there's not much to worry about at the moment. We can actually maybe go up a little bit higher, so let's try 4. And back to the normal view mode. I know I can press 6, but I keep doing it like that. Okay, now that we have this, we kind of want to make the smoke move forward a little bit more. So we're going to change the velocity to about 200 on the y-axis and 10 maybe? Let's try 100 actually. Let's add a floor again. That looks nice. And yeah, we do still need something at the end here. And since we already have this bar impact smoke, we can just export that emitter again. Export emitter. And apply it on the right location. Sadly, again, 4.21 has some weird issues, so I need to move these particle systems side to side. So blah, I'm actually going to remove that one. For now, sadly, I need to remove these because Cascade is sadly so broken. And we need to change this location. So the cylinder should be about 1,000, maybe 900. And it needs a delay about 0.5, 0.6. Needs to be a little bit faster, 0.55 maybe. And there. Now there is some overlap going on. Actually, geometric properties. There. Certainly the effect looks much smaller, but you can actually see it a little bit better. I still feel like it needs to be faster, so 0.4, 0.5. Okay, 0.5 feels better. There, and that will look like this in the viewport. And the smoke adds so much niceness to it. Alright, now that we have the smoke out of the way, do we want some additional smoke on top of it? I'm not sure. I mean, the fire's already there. It might be a bit too much overkill. I think I'm gonna keep it like this. I still need to tweak that particle trail a bit to make it nice and glowy. So we could try and focus on that. But this is enough for just one video, so maybe I'm gonna do the particle trail in the next video. Alright, so this was it, adding smoke. And yeah, since that the smoke in the learning tab is just well made, we can just use that. No need to reinvent the wheel every time. So there we have it, smoke. Alright, take care people and have a good day.